Our theme for today is a day of hope, and there is no one that embodies hope more than the patients who are here today. And these are people who are going about their daily lives and living those lives to the fullest while they are living with pancreatic cancer. And we have two very special people here today who are going to share their stories. First up is Philip Allmen. He's a retired school principal, and he barely had time to take the bandages out of his arm from his last round of chemotherapy before he came here to speak. Philip?
Good afternoon. My involvement in this symposium began when my surgeon, Dr. Stephen Gallinger, left me a phone message asking me to do him a favor. I knew it wasn't to help out in surgery. I was really pleased that he was asking me to join with you today to tell my story of hope, what they call it Princess Margaret, my journey with cancer. A little other background about myself. I am 77 years old, 20 years retired from the position of school principal. 17 years ago, I lost my wife of 40 years to brain cancer, and have since been so fortunate to have a new love of my life, my wife Donna, who's been with me every step of this cancer journey. As for my illness, pancreatic cancer, I was absolutely unaware of any problems until as recently as mid-May of this year. I felt well, was leading my usual life, doing my walks every day and planning trips. In mid-May, I had an incident which upset me. While having a pee, I noticed blood in my urine. I immediately made an appointment to see Dr. Fogel, my family doctor of some 40 years. I get scared when blood shows up where it shouldn't. With my past history of some prostate problems, the logical path to explore was the prostate. So they arranged for blood test, ultrasound, and a follow-up appointment with the family doctor. At a Mother's Day party, I had an inkling that maybe there was something else. People were asking me if I was getting too much sun. I appeared very tanned. Within a couple of days, I was aglow. It was yellow. By the time I went to the family doctor, I was fully jaundiced. Dr. Fogel took one look at me, arranged for tests to be done that day at Mount Sinai. To quote him, we're on the eve of a long weekend. We need information, and we need it fast. By the time I was entering the hospital via the emergency area, he had called and they were waiting for me. I got there about 10 in the morning on the Friday. Was told before noon that blood tests showed a hot spot in the liver. A CT scan in mid-afternoon revealed a growth in the bile duct. The emergency room doctor, interesting guy, I never did get his name, came to me and he said, "You're going to be seen later tonight by the surgeons." And the doctor said if it was me, I'd wait. It's 5:30. I'm starving. I haven't eaten all day. I think maybe I won't wait. My wife Donna said, "We'll wait." We waited. By 10:30, the surgeon had looked at my record, told me that I had a cancer and would require the Whipple surgery. Never heard of it. He called a member of a surgical team right then and there. By 10:45 on that Friday night, I have an appointment with the Whipple team for the following Thursday, and surgery tentatively scheduled for a week Monday. At home, we told the family what had happened. Nothing has been kept from our family. They're part of our support network. Tuesday morning, my family doctor, Dr. Fogel, phoned me looking to find out what had happened. I told him. I don't think he was surprised. I thanked him for his speedy intervention because to me it was life-saving. By 10 a.m., Dr. Gallinger's office calls to tell me I have pre-op schedule for the next day, time and place for a meeting with the surgical team on a Thursday, another CT scan on Friday, and surgery scheduled for Monday. My head is spinning. I'd found out something about the Whipple surgery. I was overwhelmed with the complexity and the risks. I don't think overwhelmed is the right word. I was scared. Throughout this time, Donna is a tower of strength, calmness, I'm fast learning that cancer is a family affair. I went to Toronto General on Monday, May the 26th. I met with an array of experts who prepared me for the surgery and did their best to convince me that I was in great hands, and I was. I was learning to listen to the experts. In my own brilliance, I decided that pain control would be with the pump. The anesthesia sat in the bed, right beside me, and began to say, the epidural is far better in a class by itself. I should rethink my choice. He was caring and persuasive. I agreed to the epidural, and I can say I never had any pain. These pieces of advice made a huge difference. The experts knew their stuff, and they really cared. The surgery lasted almost 8 hours, and when I began to come back to some form of consciousness, I became aware of several key things. I was alive. I had no pain. I was surrounded by people. I didn't recognize anybody except Donna. I was uncomfortable with things attached, plugged in, or stuck in my mouth, but I was alive. Over the next week, I began to feel better. My appetite slowly returned, in spite of the hospital food. I never had any pain, only awareness. Teams of multidisciplinarian, I find it hard to say, but I took it from one of the speakers today, medical experts visited me each day. Surgical team, regular floor team, community relations, pastoral, a variety of therapists, some of whom I've never heard of, dietitians. All these were aware of who I was, what had been done, and were doing their best to return me to my world. And even in the midst of this, Elections Ontario showed up. We were having an election at the time, and I voted in the hospital. To me, there was so much attention to detail by so many trying to help me. And as I wrote this presentation today, I had time to put things in perspective, and I feel very proud to be part of such a great and caring society. It is not until mid-July that I'm actually told that I have pancreatic cancer and should do chemotherapy as an insurance policy. Again, I was impressed by the team approach at Princess Margaret Hospital, led by Dr. David Headley, who is here today. The oncology team demonstrated the value of shared expertise. And one team member said something to me that has stuck with me. There are many people behind the scenes working for you. Have faith in the process. And I have found that to be very comforting and very true. I'm not naive about my situation. I know what's going on. The chemo seems to be going well, except they can never find the right veins or whatever they're looking for. I remain positive and very optimistic. I look at my story of hope and feel so fortunate for all that has been done for me. I believe that I have a real shot at survival, whatever that is, because I had symptoms, surgery, chemo, and positive support. I look at my story of hope and I feel overwhelmed by the enormous outpouring of support from so many sources. By the way, Donna and I have a Mediterranean cruise booked for September. We plan to celebrate our birthdays with a South American cruise in March of 16. And the Caribbean is booked for the special birthdays, my 80th, March of 17. In 2018, I'd like to be invited back here to tell you about the cruises. This is my story of optimism, my story of hope. Remember, hope is belief in the future. Thank you.